we are starting the first event of our engineer at Red Hat, and he do have 60K plus followers on LinkedIn, and he into the open source field from quite long time. So over to you, Soumyadip. Can you just introduce yourself here? Soumyadip, are you
Yeah,
there? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, hi. Yeah, so I'm Soumyadip. So currently I'm working at Red Hat as a software engineer. So prior to Red Hat, I have worked at multiple organizations like if you know Bajaj FinServe, Hoichoi, that's the OTT platform of Kolkata. So there are multiple institutions where I have worked, and other than this, I was associated with multiple learning institutions as well. So there were few. If you go to my profile, LinkedIn profile or anything, you can get it. So yeah, so let's start with this session. I think I cannot share the slide. If I can share the slide, that would be better. So I think it will be kind of a podcast kind of thing. So yeah, Vinayak. So is there anything that I can provide or like I'll go by this?
You can just share your experience and whatever you have prepared. Like you can just go ahead with that. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, I have the slides open with me. If anyone wants, then I can share the link with the in the chat section so you can check. So is it fine, Vinayak? I can share the link of the PPT. Yeah.
So yeah, you can share it in the no mic section.
Okay.
So till then, Soumyadip is sharing his slides link. Can we have Soumyadip open in the chat or something like 1, 2, 3 in the chat so that we can just start with the session with the
Um,
full energy? Yeah, yeah, yeah. 1, 2, 3. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, yeah. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah. So, talking about like we do have a lots of sessions in this entire week. So just you can just go to the events tab and you can just tap on interested. So whenever we will start new sessions, it will get notified to you. So yeah.
okay, so there is a issue. There is an issue, so
Uh,
I'll share it shortly. Okay, so let's start with
yeah,
the
sure.
session. So let's skip this session. I'm in the chat section currently, so let's keep this session quite interactive. I'm also taking a session after a long time. Uh,
It will be fun.
yeah. So what do you understand about open source? Anyone has any idea? Any idea about open source? Just write in the chat section. It will be a like you can say we'll be communicating entire session. It's of like one person speaking from other side.
So yeah, someone is saying he don't have any idea. Someone is saying it is access to
Any
all. Someone is saying open code.
okay.
Sumirip, can you just see the chat? Like
Yeah, yeah. I'm
it's
just
not.
I'm just
Yeah.
looking into that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure.
Okay, I can share some photo in the slide or in the chat section. That would be better. Just a minute. Just give me a few minutes.
So those who are not able to see the chat section, so see, we are chatting on the no mic channel. It's just above the event stage. So yeah, you can find the particular channel there only. So yeah,
In the no mic section. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So basically, if we go for the definition of the, I think most of you have the idea about open, like what is open source. Like I think most of you have heard about what is GitHub, what is Git, and what is the use case of the open source software. So there are many things that we can talk about. So if you go to Wikipedia, so let me share this image with you. Just a minute. Mm, yeah. Can you see this picture? This is uh, this is basically a definition of what is basically open source. So if you like search anything about open source, you will get that open source is a kind of computer software that is available in source code from, like there are many Git, like you can say GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket. So this is basically what is open source is like. There are, can say, there are a lot of projects, there are a lot of you can say programming language, there are a lot of development tools which we are developing in open source. There are a lot of things, but in one line, if you want to say that what is basically open source, then you can say that what is basically open, like which code you can accessible without any permission. You can say permissionless or decentralized, or you can say distributed in some sort of manner. So that is basically open source for us. So there will be no restrictions, like you don't have to go for any firewall or kind of thing. You can just go to some place, you can just access all those code you need. So this is a like overview of open source. I'm not talking about any technical term. In technical term, you can say there are Git, there are GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket. We'll talk about that. But as of now, we'll be talking about that. What is basically open source? Open source means like whatever is free, whatever you can access, something like a website, anyone can have access. Yeah, exactly. You can say like you can say just google.com. So that's a free kind of search engine, right? You can say that's a kind of, you can open platform, not open source, that a open platform. Let's say that I'll talk about CMS, I'll talk about Joomla, WordPress. There are many types of project I'll be talking about in this session. So the basic idea of open source is whatever you can access permissionlessly. So that is basically open source. Uh, Now let me show you another uh, photo. Just a minute.
So guys, let me know in the chat like how many of you have heard the word open source before or not. Like just yes or no in the chat. If you have heard the word open source before, then yes. If not, then no. Yes, yes, yes. Like many of you have heard about it. Yeah. Oh, Sanjay has not. Yeah, yeah, nice. So don't worry, guys. Like you will get a lot of idea. Yeah. So Soumyadip has shared the picture.
I have shared a picture.
Soumyadip, if you are speaking, like you are not audible.
Yeah. So have you got
Yeah,
that picture? Is open
yeah,
source
yeah.
mean any kind of software or anything? So how many of you think that open source is not a software? How many of you think is open source means free software? How many of you think? So there are multiple layer of open source. So what is basically open source, that is clear to you. There are multiple layers of open source. The first thing is your code can be open, but your service can be paid. So what do you mean by your code can be open, your service can be paid? If you go for like WordPress, if you have to use some specific plugins, so those like many things are chargeable, right? So I'll talk about that. So is this clear that your code can be open, but sometimes your services are paid? So what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? What are the platforms from which we can contribute in open source project? Like for the GSOC, I can say like I had some experience with the GSOC. Like not I was like actively participated, but I have applied like contributed some of the projects which were shortlisted in GSOC. Like if you go for GF or GH, if you go for Apache Foundation, I have some contributions over there in my during my college days. So if you are trying to uh, if you are trying to participate or you are trying to contribute in open source, then what you have to do at first, basically, you just select your tech stack. So let's say that your tech stack is JavaScript, your tech stack is Perl, or your tech stack is Java. Then you just choose that language and search what are the best projects projects are available on Java. Let's say that Spring, Hibernate, those all are open source, right? So you can just go to Spring, you can just uh, contribute something over there. You can just go to Fedora, you can contribute something over there. So this is how you have to uh, choose what are the projects those are suitable for you. So I know that it's very tough to understand the entire code base. So it's not a like one day job. You will just go to GitHub. You just open Linux Foundation, some repository like Linux or any repository or Fedora or anything. You will just get all those things like whatever is written over there in a single day. So this is not possible at all, right? So the best way to start with contributing in open source is you just select a particular project. Let me send you one link. Just let me send you one link. Uh, so this is the Linux repository. If you go in the pull request section, you can see that there are a lot of issues, there are a lot of fixes, there are a lot of improvements are there, right? You can go to the issue section, you can pick any of the issues, and then you have to trace that for this particular issue what are the functions are required, what are the functions that I have to go. You don't need to go through the entire project, you don't need to go through like every functions of the code base. You just select that from where I can get this particular fix, just fix it and make a pull request.
Soumyadip, when did you first started to contribute to open source, and do you remember what your first open source contribution was, and how did it feel?
uh, my first contribution
See,
open source
just
yeah.
adding so just adding to this question, so like most of the so just I just wanna ask everyone, like how many of you are new to the open source and wanna contribute first time, like you just wanna get into open source, and you if type yes in the chat if you wanna contribute in the open source and you don't know anything about it. So yes, yes. So see, there are a lot of people here who don't know anything
Mhm.
about open source yet. So we will just wanna know, like if I am just a beginner in the first, second year or third year of my college. So how can we just start with our open source journey? So yeah.
Yeah, so now I can say that. So how many of you have heard about Hacktoberfest? Let's not talk about GSOC. So that's a kind of thing that which will take a lot of time. How many of you heard about uh, Hacktoberfest? What do you guys actually do? So I saw a lot of no Hacktoberfest. Okay. So some of you have, I think, heard about Hacktoberfest. So that is basically founded by DigitalOcean. So what the Hacktoberfest actually does, it in Hacktoberfest you have to list some repositories, you have to list some of your projects. So every time, yes, thanks for sharing the Hacktoberfest link. Yeah. So what you have to do in Hacktoberfest, like you have to contribute something in the open source. Like let's say something. How you can contribute that in the open source? So let's say that I'm not talking about to contribute directly in. I'm not consider like asking you to contribute directly in some Google open source project or some, let's say, Microsoft open source project. Like for contributing in that particular open source project, you have to go through a lot of code base. And in your big, like let's say you guys are in second year or third year or first year, so it's very difficult to go through all those entire code base, right? Because there are microservices, there are CI/CD, there are like many distributed kind of things. So it will be very tough to understand that open source thing. So in that process, many of us lost the path that, yeah, this is boring kind of thing, I'm not getting anything. Like how many of you have, like how many of you have felt this, that yeah, this is too much tough? Me. Okay, how many of you have found out that this is very tough? Everyone say that contribute in open source, contribute in open source, but this is like, it seems quite tough. How many of you have felt that? So if you are trying to start with start with open source from this day, what you have to do. So that's why I was talking about Hacktoberfest. You see that there are a lot of, you don't need to contribute in some big organizations like let's say Linux foundations, or like let's say Linux, Google, Microsoft, or anything. What you have to do, you just go through Google. Let's say that you are learning basic HTML kind of thing, right? And you just go through GitHub, like go to GitHub and search, is there any HTML projects are available? If there is any HTML project available, you go to that project, and what you can do, you can check that what is this project all about, and what are the things that you like about that project, and what are the things you think that it can be improved. So you list down all those things, you take a you fork that repository, you made, like you just create your PR and you just upload, like give the PR to that particular owner of that project. So it also means that you are contributing to some open source thing, right? Not any big, or it's not a very big organization. It can be a your friend's repository, it can be a third person repository whom you don't know, but you are trying to contribute in that repository. So when I can say that when I was in my college day, I was working on a distributed like peer-to-peer communication system. Okay, so there were like 6 to 7, like very few repositories were available. So I was going through some of the repository. I found some issues over their code. I have gone through their code. I found some issue over their code. I made some issue request. I made some PR. So this is how you can start. Will I get any sort of stipend? No, actually. So if you are like, if you are trying to, if you are found like finding any bug in a, like in a big organizations, like you can say, like in Mozilla, or like in Mozilla, like you found a bug. If you give some proper, like if you can provide some proper input to their organizations, then you may get some swag. So no one can assure you, there are few organizations whom, like if you contribute there, you can get some swag. So but it's not like that, that if I contribute this thing, I'll definitely get this amount of bounty. So it's not like that. Which will in future give some money, but it, I'm not sure that open source will give you a proper money or not, but I'm pretty sure that if you are contributing in open source, you will get a lot of focus through like from the developers who are in the community all around. So from that, you never know that how you can get the opportunity. I, like if you ask me, then I can say that from my GitHub profile, I have got a lot of opportunity. I can say that, and that is equivalent to money, right?
So, just adding to this, like, what was the first contribution you made in the field of open source? What was your first pull request?
Uh, Now it's tough to say that what was my first pull request. So I can say that there is an organization which is working on finance sector, fintech. That is MIFOS, I guess. MIFOS. Have you heard about MIFOS? Anyone? MIFOS. MIFOS. Let me send you the link.
Can you just, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
one.
The MIFOS. MIFOS. So it's an
So
open
that
source
was the
kind of
first
fintech.
organization.
Yeah, yeah, it was the first organization. If not this, then there was another that is GA4GH. So what they basically does, GA4GH. Yeah, this one GA4GH. So I contributed in this organization for just a minute. Yeah, let me send you the link. Sorry. I contribute. So what GA4GH does, you know that they maintain a ladder of our DNA, like some sample of our DNA, what is how that is encoded, how uh, the thing works. So I have contributed in these two organizations at first, and after that I have contributed in some organizations like whatever. Like if I am working on some Spring Boot project, I was looking for some implementations of, let's say, Elasticsearch. So I just went to GitHub. I was searching for some, you can say, uh, Spring implementations with Elasticsearch. So if I found any bug into that project, I made a immediate pull request. So this is how I work in open source. So whatever reference, see, if you are taking some reference from anything, any let's say any repository, that is not bad. If you are copying from that, that is also not bad. But if you are if you are directly like, you are just cloning some code, you are just implementing that if you are going to do that every time frequently, that then it can be a problem, that you are just taking all the inputs from the open source project, you are taking all the inputs from the open source software, but you are not contributing anything, then it can be a issue. It's a issue with a lot of people. But you uh, just try to contribute something. It can be a fix of some typo, or it can be a fix of some list. If I talk about in a web perspective, it can be a feature of, like, you are fixing a list, you are fixing a CSS, you are fixing a JS or anything, or you are there are some styling kind of thing, towards applying some styling over there. So anything regarding the code. It's not like that you are removing some blank space and you are creating some PR. That is actually happened in Hacktoberfest. I was going through some of the repositories, some of the pull request. So I was a reviewer in an organization in 2020, probably in 2020. So I was going through some pull requests. So those are really funny. Just noise me. So those are really funny. What those guys were doing, they were removing some extra spaces, they were adding some line, and they were increasing their pull request count. So don't do like that. So it can be a fix. It can be a any meaningful fix. And
So it's like,
when you are yeah.
so it's like you don't, if you wanna contribute to open source, so you don't need to learn. You don't. It's not necessary that you need to be pro in the coding and all that stuff. You can still
Yes,
contribute. You can
yes,
still contribute in open source with some other ways to just like use it, like fixing some typos or some kind of that stuff. But
anything.
also it's not the right way uh, uh, to just make pull requests of unnecessary changes, like just adding just what you have mentioned, like adding some
Yes,
spaces or something like that. That's not works. So adding to
yes.
do this only, what are the best practices you should follow, like if you are starting with open source?
Yes, every time for a beginner, like if I say personally, I was not following this kind of step. Every time when you are trying to contribute anything, you just keep this thing in mind that your commit, your whatever you are writing it commit, it should be meaningful. It should be, you can say it should be, it should have a proper meaning. Like if you are uh, adding some fix, you should write fix colon then whatever fix you are writing. If you are adding some feature, then you should write this is a feature, or this is a core, or this is improvement. So from the first letter, whoever reviewing your request, or a third party, whoever reading your code, or whoever reading your commit history, they should understand that yeah, this is a fix, this is a feature, this is a core, or this is a improvements, or this is a resolution, or anything. So every time whenever you are committing something in an open platform, you should not write that hey goodbye see you tomorrow. Your commit request or commit message should not contain this bye bye kind of thing. Whatever you are writing, it you just commit one you just make one commit in 10 days. That's not an issue. But if you are writing that hey bye kind of thing, this is my feature, go through that. So this type of request, this type of commit message, you should avoid. And what are the popular projects that I can contribute to a web developer of month and Next.js? See, if you are trying to get any project of MERN, so you just like there are many organizations who are working on MERN. If you go to Google, you will find a lot of JavaScript projects as well. So there are many, but in your age, when you are in second year and third year, we are not expecting that you will be contributing like a 10 years of experience and you can, or you will just go through the entire code base of Linux and you learn everything. So we are not expecting that thing. What we are expecting that, let's say you have 10 friends, your one friend is creating one project, and you just went to the entire project, you find some improvements, you were just committing that thing at your age. So we are expecting that like how you are contributing, not where you are contributing. So where you are contributing, if you are like if you have 10 years experience in the industry, then we'll check that where you are contributing. But when you have 2 to 3 years, you are just in college, you are just graduate like pursuing your graduation, then we are not checking that where you are contributing. It's all about that what are the things that you are contributing. So please make sure that don't remove a backspace and give a peer. So whatever you are contributing, it should have something meaningful. This is the part number one, that how you are contributing in others project. So let's say that you are not finding anything over there, like you are not finding, you are like you are just learning a basic HTML thing, you are just learning a basic you can say basic JavaScript, CSS, bootstrap. So you are not getting anything that where you can contribute. So what you will do, you just create a repository, publish whatever you are learning, publish whatever you are implementing. By the way, whatever you are implementing, not like whatever changes are you performing, or whatever fixes are you doing, whatever you are learning, everything just commit everything in open source. So there are someone who are looking for that particular thing, who are looking for a particular basic web page, where like there are people who are looking for a like basics, you can say that event management page, or railway ticket booking system, kind of that like kind of that project, right? Yeah.
So, like you
Yeah.
just mentioned about commit, pull requests, and all that stuff. So,
Mhm.
those who are in the like both basic stage and they don't know what is commit, what is pull request. Like, can I just know in the chat, like if you know about pull request or commit or GitHub in the chat, like just put yes in the chat if you know about commit, pull request or something like that. Just put
Yes.
yes in the chat.
So
If you don't know about it, just put no in the chat.
so before
Yes.
starting that, do you know about OSS? Anything know about OSS? What is OSS basically?
Okay, so a lot of people don't know about commit and that pull request and all that stuff. So no,
Okay, okay.
don't worry
I'll
about.
discuss about that.
Yeah, so I am just telling that. So don't worry about that. We will having a separate session
Mhm.
about it on Wednesday only. So we will just teach like
Okay,
how to
okay.
contribute and get up. So you can just give a
Sure, sure,
brief
sure.
idea about it, like just to like they can just understand like what is commit and what is pull request.
Yeah,
Then
yeah,
we will
yeah,
have
yeah.
a proper session about it. So don't worry about that. We will
Sure, sure,
just
sure, sure. No issues. I'll basically go through the OSS. Okay. So what is basically open source softwares are clear to you? That what is basically open source softwares, right? Is that clear, everyone? Yes. So now we'll be discussing about that. What is basically you can say that um, over like OSS projects. Those are available all around. What are the OSS projects? Those are available in all around. So let me talk about that open source operating system. So before going through this OSS project, so let me tell you a little description about what is commit and what is pull request. So see, commit is like whatever you are performing in your local, and the first thing is why we need Git. Anyone has any idea why we need Git? Why we need GitHub? Anyone has any idea? What is hosted? Okay, okay. There are a lot of things. Okay, so basically, let's say that let's talk about that why we need GitHub, and let's say that you have some code. So if you are making any changes in that particular code, how you can version control? Very good. How you can control that version? You just keep on saving that file that this is v1, this is v2, this is v3, this is v4, this is v5. No, right? So you are like nowadays what you in let's take a practical example. Nowadays when you store your some photos, so where do you store? You store that in Google Drive, right, or iCloud, something like that, right? And for your code you should have a particular place where you are storing, like where you should store all of your codes, right? So that is basically GitHub for you. Now you don't make any changes on your photo, right? So whatever you change you just upload that. So same thing you need in Git to save your internal memory. That's an answer. But like whenever you are trying to maintain a version, then also you need Git. So that is a basically motto or use case of Git. And there are many. So let's say that you are trying to like this is your project one, and you are adding some changes over there. So you are just committing that, and you after committing you are just pushing that, and you have a separate session on commit and push. So whatever commit means, you are just adding some message over your contribution that yeah, this particular piece of code performing this task, and this commit request or this commit message consists like it identifies or it pointing to this particular code snippet, and using that code snippet like we can fix something or we can improve something. So that is basically commit. And pull request means if you are trying to contribute, or if you are trying to like let's say you are working in a let's say in collaboration, there are many developers, and here the concept comes for the branching. Let's say you have something in the master branch. So we have in the production we have something like this is master, this is QA, this is development. So whatever you are performing, you are just pushing all those things in the development branch. After development, like when the development is done, you are adding a pull request to a QA. After QA, you are adding some pull request to the master, or you are fixing something from your local repository and you are creating some pull request, and you are asking the owner of that repository that yeah, these are the feature like which I want to contribute in your project. So these are the features, these are the fix, these are the improvement which I am trying to contribute or which I am trying to dump in your project. So whoever the owner or whoever the maintainer, they will review your pull request. Pull request means like it's kind of a letter kind of thing. You are writing a letter to somebody, or you are writing. Let's say that you are writing for sick leave, or you are writing for your you will be absent in the college for the next 10 days. It's a kind of request. Yeah, if I say in lemon word, it's kind of like that. And it's up to the maintainer or the your teacher that they will approve your request or not, right? So this is a basic of PR. So I'm not diving into the technicality of PR. So if that is clear to you, is that clear to you that what is basically PR request?
Just type yes in the chat if you get some clarity about Pia. Can I see yes in the chat? Okay, okay, yes.
Let me share you one picture.
So till then, how many of you guys have a profile on GitHub? Can you just, if you have profile on GitHub, just type yes in the chat. If you don't have profile in the, yeah, okay. Many of you have profile. Okay, I will suggest Imperial to make your profile on GitHub.
Yeah.
Just go to
So
github.com and just make a profile. Yeah, so many.
yeah,
Just
sure. I just sent one a picture where you can see that create a branch, add whatever commits you want, then you open a pull request. After that, we'll discuss and review that peer. And if that peer is acceptable, then we'll just merge that into a particular branch. Okay. So this is
Soumyadip,
yeah.
is code the only way we can contribute to open source?
This is the only way. Yeah, so if you are trying to see, there is two things, one is about collaborator and one is about contributor. So let's discuss about that. What is basically collaborator and contributor? Collaborator means there are five guys and who are trying to build a project. Okay, so you all have the access of that particular repository, right? So in that case you can directly push that into the merge bud, if although that's not a best practice, but you can directly push that thing into the master branch, right? Because you are the collaborators, you are five people working in organizations, or you are five people who are friends who are trying to contribute anything, who are trying to building a team project. You all are collaborators, you all, if you go to a particular repository and if you go to the settings option, you will find an option that add a collaborator. So collaborator means collaborators are the guy who are actually the owners or the maintainers of the repository. They have the access, they can directly contribute in that project, so they don't need to create some pull request because they have the access. Now in most of the cases, let's say that if you go for the Linux project, only 100 to 200 guys has the permission of that repository or the permission of that organization. So what about the others? So I cannot directly go to Linux and I can contribute I can contribute my code in the master branch, right? So for most of the people who are trying to contribute something in third person repository or third person project or a particular organization's project, like in which you are not a part of, for that every time we have to go for the pull request like PR. If you are like let's say it was happened to me as well. So if you are getting a particular focus by that organizations, like you are contributing something, then they can add you as a collaborator. They can say that yeah, come to our organization, you will be a part of it. So then you will be an owner, you will be a maintainer, you will be a reviewer kind of thing, right? So is that clear that when we need pull request and what is the difference between collaborator and contributor? Is that clear? Everyone, is that clear? What is the difference between collaborator and contributor?
Soumyadip, I do have one doubt. Like, who are the maintainers? Like, this, like, uh, who are the collaborators? Are only the maintainers, or like there is a
Yeah,
difference between them?
yeah, actually, you can say maintenance. This maintenance terms, this maintainer term is not particularly associated with the GitHub, but we can say that there can be multiple owner, there can be multiple people in the organizations who are not a owner of that particular repository, but they can review some of the code, they can merge into the master branch. Let's say that you have 5 people in your team and 2 are the owners, and all the 5 people are the maintainers, and rest of the 3 people are only maintainers. They are not the particular owner. Let's say that they cannot directly delete that repository or kind of thing, right? So yeah, so that is how the access level, like access level is divided. So if you are in that organization, you can say that, yeah, I am a maintainer of this repository. So that's a term we used to say that, yeah, you are part of this repository, you are maintaining this repository. Now it's your responsibility that what are the pull requests you will merge, what are the pull requests you will, let's say, we'll add some comment, like what are the proper pull requests, like like who, like what are the proper pull requests you should merge. So you have to review the entire repository, like what are the PRRs coming, what are the issues you have in that repository. So this is how we can say that. Yeah.
Soumyadeep, sometimes what happens is we see these huge projects and we don't understand any part of the code and we still want to contribute. So how do you deal with that?
So the first option is it's a very important question, that how we can contribute. So at first, at the beginning of my session, I told you one thing, that the first thing is you have to select your tech stack. Let's say that your tech stack is JavaScript. Now, in JavaScript, there are a lot of things. There are software, there are web pages, there are uh, like programming language written. There are a lot of things. So then you have to choose that in which domain you are trying to contribute. If that is web, then it's a front end or it's a back end. If it's a front end, then front end using which framework? Like, does it contain any framework like React, Angular, Vue? Like, React is not a framework, it's a kind of library. Angular, Vue, Next, anything. If that is so, if let's say that you are trying to contribute in a Angular project, so you go to GitHub, you find any Angular project. Now I think that you will get some idea, like if you know Angular, if you go through a Angular project, the structures are same. There are src, there are, like, you can say controllers or whatever it is, there are pipes, everything are there, so you can get a basic idea about that project. Now if you are a JavaScript developer, we are not expecting that you just go to a Java project or a Spring project and you can contribute full-fledgedly. We're not expecting that. What we are expecting, that you just choose your domain, you just choose your expertise language, like what are the tech stack you have the expertise. You just go to, go to that, go to any project of that particular tech stack. It can be MERN, it can be Mean, or it can be a basic HTML CSS JavaScript implementation. You will find a lot of project in the GitHub. The thing you need, the first thing is patient, and the second thing is you just keep on searching that which project is suitable for you. If it's a particular project, like if let's say that it's a you can say it's a game kind of thing, or it's a kind of single page application, or it's a kind of spa. So you just go to that particular page and you try to fix something, and the first thing to contribute in open source, that you have to identify your project. If you are not identifying your project, then it can be tough for you. So when I ask that how many of you face difficulty whenever you are trying to contribute in open source, so if you go through this step, if you divide your tech stack in a small part, like JavaScript, then backend, then Node.js or JavaScript, then front end, then MERN, then Angular or anything. In this hierarchy, you have to divide. And what is the smallest part you can say, like in which part you are trying to contribute? Then you can find a similar project and you can contribute. Yeah. Is it clear that how to start
So
contribution? Yeah.
so yeah, so we can just like anything else you, any tips you wanna share with the beginners who are just starting with open source, like any what we say tricks or and trick tips, like so that they can just the mistake before sharing the tips. I wanna ask, what are the mistakes you have made, like when you were starting with open source, and you don't wanna just you don't want others to make those mistakes. So
Sure, sure. So I'll just go through your question. I have the question noted. So before that, I just want to share some basics of like what are the OSs are available all around. So have you got my slides? I just sent you my slides. So if you go for the open source operating system, Ubuntu, Android, there are many. There are CentOS, there are Fedora, there are IBM Sun, a lot of operating system. So we are taking that Ubuntu and Android. So these are the operating system. Right? So Android is a open source operating system. So I think these four slides will be useful. There are a lot of programming language which are open source: PHP, Perl, Python itself, Ruby. So these are there are a lot of language. So these are the open source language. We have also the Java open source. Like now, if you go for JDK, we have a different JDK. In, let's say Oracle has its JVM. You can say IBM has its JDK. So yeah, and if you go for any open source application for particular software, you can say Eclipse. This is my personal favorite. Eclipse, Firefox that I'm currently using. I don't use Chrome too much because like it's my personal choice. So I it's like 90% time I use Mozilla. 10% time if there is any security issue I go for Chromium and Chrome. Okay. Chromium, but I think that Chromium has a lot of bugs, so I would not suggest you to go for Chromium. So just go for Firefox. That would be the best. And you can say unzipper. There are a lot of extensions which are you are using in on daily basis. Those are open source. Now let's say that you are trying to use you are trying to now let me tell you that what is the benefit you will get. So any Java developer are here, any Spring developer or Java developer are here, any Java developer. JDK is Java development kit. Yeah, any Java developers are here. So if you have ever built a Maven project, we can say that's a nightmare. I can say that's a nightmare. Like after creating or after writing every piece of code successfully, I can say that it's a nightmare to build a Maven project, build a Spring project. So now for Java, there are many for Java Enterprise Edition, there are many you can say editor which are available. IntelliJ is one of that, and that is like IntelliJ the community edition is not like IntelliJ is not open source at all, and it has the subscription model. So it's very much difficult for a beginner to get that subscription. It's around it's around $100 or something. So Eclipse provide you that facility, and that's why Eclipse is one of my favorite. You can say compiler or whatever what it is. So that is the benefit of using OSs. Now, let's say Android. When I were like we were in college days, like if you are trying to uh, buy a phone, every time our default choice is Android, right? So if you will get an Android phone by 5,000, and if you are trying to buy a like iOS phone, it will be 50,000, right? Nowadays it's around 1 lakh. So this is what happened when you are using open source or when you are trying to contribute in open source. So this is the main benefit of open source. Now Windows, like you are purchasing Windows, like in our country, like most of in ASEAN country, I can say in Asian country, I can say that 60 to 70% users are not using proper licensed Windows, but in the foreign countries like in the USA or UK kind of there, so it's very much illegal if you are using any pirating software, or you are using any you are using any pirated software, or you are using any unlicensed software, and you can have a you can face jail for it, right? So in here in ASEAN country, that is quite we are familiar with that. So because nobody pays around 10 to 15,000 for Windows, right? But in in the foreign countries, they has to pay, like they have a restricted cyber law for that particular unlicensed software. So here the comes like terms Linux comes in. So you just pick any of the Linux. It can be Mint. It can be like choicer. Like my choice is Fedora. It can be CentOS. It can be Ubuntu. Anything. You just take that. You can use that free of cost, right? So that is the benefit of using OSS softwares. Now the questions Vinayak was asking, that what are the mistakes that I had made in my beginning days. So the first mistake that I have made, that is uh, I was under the impression that whatever I am whatever I am performing, I have to put all those things in a particular repository. So do not try that. You create 10 repositories, but here the concept of distributed repositories comes in. So you are trying to develop a like Java project. You create a separate repository. So you are creating a JavaScript project. So don't put React, Angular, Vue in that particular project. Create separate repositories. The second thing is, don't go for quantity, go for quality. So why I'm saying don't go for quantity? So I had like I can say that when I was in Hoichoi, that in my previous organizations, we used to commit a lot. Not me. The entire organization used to commit a lot, and every day we used to create 10 to 20 issue. I used to review 20 to 22 peers in a single day. So you can say that where the count will go, right? So and it's very difficult to review 20 peers in a single day. It's very difficult to create 20 issues, give particular comments, and there are like 4 to 5 minimum commits over there. So your count will go exponentially. So don't go for the count. What you can do, you just create one single peer, and it should be meaningful. Now if you go through my profile, you can say that I commit 2 to 3, like 2 to 3 commits per day, or I raise 3 to 4, like 2 to 3 peer requests, not a lot of commits, not a lot of peers. So every time you should go for the quality. A relation of cybersecurity with the open source. So let me tell you that burp suit, if anyone in the cybersecurity domain, Kali Linux, that's a open source project. Kali is an open source project, and if you are going for Burp Suit is also a open source project. That was my personal favorite. Burp Suit is an open source project. That's my favorite, all time favorite. So Burp Suit, or you can say Mint 3 is there. I can say data tampered data. One software is there. So these are the softwares that you will get from the open source server, and there are many. There are uh, net net something like that. I just forgot that term. Yeah,
So
there are a
Amiri,
lot. Yeah.
yeah, so like you've been contributing to open source for a while. So can you just share how has it helped you? You were also a GDSC lead in college. So has it helped you
Yeah,
with your academics or extracurriculars? Can you just briefly?
yeah, it helped me a lot. It helped me a lot. So when I had the GDS interview, they asked me about that, like what are the projects that you have. So I just go to I just copied my GitHub link and send that. So they go through your project, they can see, and every time write a particular readme. So what was my if you say that what was my biggest strength in open source, that is I used to write a proper readme. Like, you can write 4 lines of code, but you should write that what is that 4 lines of code all about. So you can say so what is the organization profile, I can join this. Cube, I can say Cube, MLH, POS. JBoss container and Kubernetes. So how you can join that organizations? So if you are trying to join all these organizations, at first you have to be at first you have to contribute some fruitful, I can say, improvement or feature in that organization. If you get the highlight, then you can be a part of it. So that's the way. And yeah, so what you were asking, hello, Vinayak, or
So yeah, you were speaking
yeah,
about
yeah,
your
yeah,
experience with open source in
yeah,
college.
yeah, sorry, I lost that question.
No, it's okay.
My so like whenever I apply in some company, so every time the first thing they will go through your LinkedIn profile, and the thing is they will go through your GitHub. So if I say that in currently I'm at Red Hat, so there was a employee who is currently my colleague. So he got my profile from GitHub and he sent my profile to the Ansible team. So at first I was selected for the Ansible team UK. So then I went to the India Pune office. So I had couple of rounds of interview. So I had around 9 rounds of interview. So for GitHub, I got that opportunity, I can say, because they went to my profile, they got my profile from there, and there are a lot of organizations whom I got some from whom I got some emails. Like recent day, I had a discussion with there is a so I had a discussion with there is a company that is why why kind of thing. Let me send you that. Uh, that is, let me tell you the name. So I had a discussion with them. Just a minute. Yeah, Quinn. There is a company which name is Quinn. So Quinn. So I had a discussion with the uh, I had a discussion with the founder of Quinn. So we were in a discussion that how we can if you go to my GitHub profile, you will find that there are a lot of achievements over there, but is that particularly verified? I can create a Travis job and I can deploy my Netlify kind of API thing. I can tamper that. I can easily tamper my contribution. I can easily tamper my achievement. I can fake my achievement. So what this Queen actually does, they verifies your achievements, your contributions using AI and ML. So that they will provide you that verified badge for your project. So I had a discussion with Quinn, and so how Quinn reached out to me, they reached out to me using GitHub only. So this is how GitHub helped me and still helping me to getting some good opportunities. I am from Pune. No, I was in Pune in the last month. Currently I'm in Kolkata and I'll shortly get back to Pune. I'll shortly go to Pune. Yeah. Currently I'm in Kolkata. Yeah. Yeah, it's my
So
GitHub profile.
yeah, I was just asking about like what are the mistakes you have made while starting with open source, and can you just share about them?
At first, my strategy was whatever you are writing or whatever code you are writing, just dump that in the open source. That's it. Whatever you are learning, it can be anything. It can be a basic Angular pipeline, or it can be a basic component of React, or it can be a basic microservice of Spring REST. It can be anything. Whatever you are learning, just dump that in the open source. This is how I started my open source journey. Then I started learning that in Git, like Git push, Git commit, Git pull, Git merge, Git stash. There are many. There are cherry pick. There. So I went to contributing. I started contributing in some of the projects which were present in the GSOC. So yeah,
This is how I started my journey in open source. Yeah. How to search Queen Python, or just a minute. Let me send you that Queen link. Queen.sh. So they are developing it currently. So yeah, so this is Queen. So if anything need any help with Queen, if you are trying to contribute anything, then you can connect to me. I can set up a call with their maintainers. So yeah, this is the thing I can do. So, and the thing is, keep learning every day, keep learning about open source, and keep contributing, or I can say keep publishing whatever you are learning. Keep publishing. And can anyone tell me that what is this all about? Keep exploring. Yeah. Just a minute. What this three sign means? Anyone? What is the first sign? What is the second? And what is the third? Just write in the chat section. Let's see. WordPress, WordPress, Drupal. Yeah. WhatsApp, Drupal, and WhatsApp, Drupal. What is the last? What is the third one? Third one is Joomla. First one is WordPress. Second one is J- Drupal, and the third one is Joomla. So like, what is that use case of these three? Those are similar. These are containers. Yeah, Jyotirmoy, it's Joomla. So these are sorry, container. I'm saying every. These are content management tools, or CMS, content management system. So you can go through the website of uh, or WordPress. WordPress, most of you have heard about. So if you go through the website, you will get to know that what is this basically all about. What is Joomla? So CMS, like you are trying to manage your content, you can do that using Joomla. I think I was trying to contribute in Joomla as well. If I'm not wrong, Joomla is written in PHP. Let me search. So I think Joomla is written in PHP. I one time I tried to contribute in Joomla. Just a minute. I can be wrong. I can be wrong. Just a minute. Yeah, it's written in PHP. I still have some memory. Yeah. So this is the GitHub repository of Joomla. So I think I opened some issue in that. So you can contribute in that
So,
Joomla if
CC,
you are learning. Yeah.
just assume
Yeah.
that I am very beginner and I don't know
Yeah.
anything about Joomla. I have heard the name of the Joomla for the first time. So how
Mhm.
how should I start with making my first PR? Like the first like basic two three
Yeah.
steps like I
Yeah.
should
Yeah.
follow.
I can say that. Now this is Joomla, and there were a product which attracted me a lot. That was me for the same thing I was talking. So Joomla sounds so funny only in India. Okay. So the first thing is, now let's say that Joomla is written on PHP. So if you go to GitHub, so 92% of Joomla is written in PHP. So what is the first thing that you have to learn? The first thing that you have to learn, that is PHP. If you are trying to contribute in Joomla, learn PHP. That is the only way. Using that, you can only contribute in Joomla. So let me send you that screenshot. Yeah, you can say that 92% of the codes are written in PHP. So the first thing, you have to learn Joomla. Sorry, you have to learn PHP. Then you have to check that what are the frameworks that you are using. It can be Cupcake, it can be Laravel, or it can be Coordinator, anything. So you have to learn that particular framework. Then you try to, the first thing of contributing, or the first thing to get understand about the open source project, that is, you try to run that project in your local system. If you are not able to run that project into your local system, you can't make a good contribution. This is my point of view. If you are intelligent enough, then you can say that, yeah, this is the patch, let me write in notepad and I'll just make a PR. But that's not the case every time, right? So what you have to do, learn the tech stack which that particular project is using. Second thing, learn that particular framework which that project is using. So learning language and learning a framework is not a thing. So you can't start with framework if you don't know that language. You can't start with Spring, or you can't start with Express if you don't know JavaScript, right? You can't start with React if you don't know JavaScript, right? If you can't start with Laravel if you don't know PHP. So the first thing, learn the language. The second thing, learn the framework if they are using any. If they are using any, learn that framework. Third, try to run that project in your local system. Try to run that project in your local system. Fourth, now you just go through the issue section. You can pick up some issue from there, or you can make some improvement. You can make some changes from there. So that's the last step. First step, learn language. Third step, learn. Second step, learn tech stack or learn that library. The third step is run that project into your local system. These three are the most important portion. And you can say that if you go to my profile, my mainly expertise is Java and JavaScript. But you can find a lot of language. Solidity is there, Python is there. So this is how I chose some project. Let's say which were implemented in Python. I chose that project. I learned Python for that. I made a contribution. So this is how I started, and this is the thing that is currently going on. Yeah, yeah, Vinayak.
Yeah, so got it. So yeah, so yeah, uh, like I guess like most of you guys can are now comfortable with the things like how you can start with the things. So the first thing what you have to do is first you have to learn the language, then you have to learn tech stack. Third, you have to run particular that project in your local system. Then you have to find the bugs in that particular project, like which things are working, which are not working. Then you have to start working on that particular bug, and then you have to make the PR. As simple as that. So,
Yeah.
how many of you guys will start contribution in open source in just few days or in upcoming months or upcoming year? Just put yes in the chat if you wanna, if you will, you guys are excited to contribute to open source. So yeah, yeah, nice, nice. So yeah, thank you so much, Soumyadip. Like anything else you wanna share about your experience or something like that? Like it's only 8:15. Like if you have further, we can just get maybe like questions from the audience now.
Yeah. So we can go for the like open questions. Just ask me anything about this particular topic, or you are trying to get some guide or roadmap. You can ask me any queries. So
So you, if you have any questions, so you can just put that question in normal channel, or you can just raise your hand. So we will just allow you to speak. So if you wanna speak something, or if you have any questions, so you can just put in the chat, or you can just raise your hand. How you will raise your hand? There will be a symbol of hand. You just have to click on that hand, symbol, and then you have to raise your hand. So so am I audible? Hello.
yeah, you are audible.
So I'm just allowing Pratik here. Pratik, you can
Yeah.
come instead. I have just sent you the request. Do you have any question regarding it? Open source or something like that? You can just ask. You can just go ahead. You can unmute yourself and ask the question.
So is there anything who is writing all these points, so you can like tweet all these points or anything?
I think you have covered a lot of things like from making PR, commit, GitHub, and some of the
Hmm.
open source programs, and some of the organization you in which you have worked on, some of the mistakes which you have date, and you don't, and some of the tips and tricks. So yeah, like we get to learn about a lot of things. Yeah. So we do have one question in the chat. I don't think so. Pratik Parik. Sorry. What's the
Apart from
pronunciation?
Python, what is the popular language and library? Uh, proper like popular language. So you guys tell me what is the popular. So I'll tell you my answer at last. You guys tell me what is the popular language. Everyone, just write in the chat section. So much excited folks. React is not a language. Okay, right. Library. This is the library, and this is the language. Okay, React is a library. You are saying library. Yeah. Java. Plus plus. See, uh, open source is for every language, so there is no particular language barrier. And I have my slide ready with you for this particular question. C++, JavaScript, and Java. Why there is smiley sign after Java every time? Someone is writing XD, someone is writing smiley sign. No, this is the waste market share. I sent you wrong slide. Yeah, this is the right slide. So this is the answer of your question, Manas. Yeah. Popular programming language by GitHub project. The first one is JavaScript, second one is Ruby, third one is Python, fourth one is Java. So these are the popular language in JavaScript. I had this slide with me. So I used to get this kind of question every time. So yeah, no issues. Yeah. So we can say from the contributions or from the activity on a particular language, JavaScript is the popular. If you ask me what is my personal opinion, I'll say that definitely go for JavaScript. So before learning JavaScript, you should know that CPP or Java, because it will give you a strong hold on the JavaScript, because in JavaScript that is damn easy to write some syntax, or you can in Python that is also very much easier to write a particular code or write a particular code snippets. But what Java and CPP will give you, that is structuring your code in a better way, and write a code without some, you can say, you are not writing too much thing. Like let's say that uh, in JavaScript, for writing a particular function you have to write a lot of things: public, static, void, main, return, a lot of things. But in JavaScript you don't need to do that. So my preference is go for CPP at the first, then go for JavaScript, Python, Ruby, whatever you want. So yeah, that's answer of a question. And any other questions?
So if you have any questions, you can just type in the Nomad channel. And also
On
one
Windows
more
system,
thing.
how much space I should allocate for Ubuntu? 50 GB. 50 GB. 50 GB is quite good. I would not suggest you to allocate 10 GB, because I don't prefer that. So there is no use of, like, if you are using 10 GB, that will be damn slow. Use like allocate 50 GB. That's the standard. Or 60 or 120, whatever you want. But I'll say minimum 50 GB. And don't use VM. Don't
Soumyadip,
use VM. Why you are using
Soumyadip,
VM?
I
It
have
will,
one
like, if you
question.
use VM, it can increase the heap memory of your system. Then you have to clean all those partitions. So don't go for VM. I personally suggest that don't go for VM.
So
Make a
Soumyadip, I
partition,
do have one
freshly
question.
install an operating system. Don't go for VM.
So I
I
do
I
have one
ha- I
question. Am I
hate this
audible?
thing.
Am I
Which is
audible?
soft.
Hello.
You start through, no. At first, go through directly GitHub. Start contributing. You will get that pace to contribute in GSOC MLH.
So you will get that pace by your own. If you go to contribute in GSOC now, you will get demotivated, and I don't want that. So start contributing in some of the projects. Start contributing in some of the projects from your friends. Some of the projects from your senior. After that, you just go for the GSOC. That's absolutely okay, Rohit. Yeah. Any
So
other questions?
I do have one questions. Like, see, it's quite related to the Red Hat certification program and all that stuff. So you are engineer at Red Hat. So what are your views on that particular certificates which Red Hat offers? Like it's quite costly, Like so when what are the when one should take those certificates and what are the benefits of those certificates? Hello.
Okay. So I'm not like I think that is okay for everyone. Yeah, Vinayak, I think Rohit is writing something. Any tips or can boost our output as beginner? Be consistent. That's the only thing. Okay. And don't follow what your friend is doing. Do follow what you are trying to do. Okay. Not what your friend is doing. Your friend can learn Swift, your friend can learn AIML or whatever it is. But if you like web development, stick to that. I think here is Jyotirmoy and Nilesh, they are my juniors. So they my GitHub link. Okay, let me share you my GitHub link. Uh, just a minute. This is my GitHub link. Yeah. Jyotirmoy and Nilesh are there. They were my like they are my senior, not were. So they are my seniors. What I'm saying, they are my juniors. So they are like I am in touch with them for the last 1 and 2 years. So not seniors, juniors. Yeah, yeah, you guys are seniors. So, so what I tell them every time that don't copy your friends. Don't look at what your friends are doing. And I'm pretty sure that Jyotirmoy, Nilesh, all of you are doing great. They are also doing great. I don't, Nilesh, don't. I don't. I, so I actually don't like this personal promotion, but yeah, okay. So so every time I want to ask you something that show you something which is for your benefit only. So there you will find a lot of guy in social media who like like if you open LinkedIn or Twitter, you will find a lot of guy, okay, who are your friends. Every time like they keep posting that this is the thing you should learn, this is the only thing that you should learn, you should only learn ML or you should only learn CP, so don't go for that. Okay, and if you open LinkedIn every single day, you will find a lot of like 100 numbers of motivators who are trying to keep motivating you every day. So don't go for that jumla, okay. So I can use this term. So just focus on your consistency, just believe in yourself, okay. So here is the particular term for that particular framework. Okay, don't follow this kind of thing. Don't follow like what other people are saying. People will post about development, but they don't have people will post about development, but they don't have their own GitHub profile. Very good. Yeah, I can say. So there are a lot of guy you can find. Like take whatever motivations you need, but if anyone is giving you motivation every day, so that's not a good thing. You will find that that is a framework, right? So I'm not saying that term every time. Okay, so the main thing is don't follow your friends. Do whatever you want to do. Okay, whatever frameworks you want to learn. So and I had a question that I just got a question that how we can start with the framework and how much time it will take to learn a framework. It can be like, see, if I go for, there is a framework of Java, that is Grail. Okay. If I go for Grail, learning Grail, it would take me hardly 7 days. If I start learning Nuxt, that a Nuxt, N-U-X-T, N-U-X-T, Nuxt. So that's a view framework. If I start learning this Nuxt, it would take hardly 7 to 10 days for me. But at first, when I was learning React, it was around 2 months. When I was learning Spring, it was around 2 to 3 months. So it will take time when you were at the beginning. Okay, and this is absolutely okay if it's taking time. Now, if you learn Express, it would take you for a beginner around 1 to 2 months. Okay, 1 to 2
Yeah.
months. But
So
after that, if you are Grails, not Grails, Grails, there is a framework, Grails and Quarkus.
okay. So Amity, can we just
Grails, let
wrap
me
it up?
send you. Grails Java.
Amity, can you
Grails
just hear me?
framework. It's a
Hello.
Java framework.
Hello.
Let me send you.
Vaishnavi, am I audible?
It's a Java framework.
Yes, yes, Vinay.
So can we just wrap it up in like
Yeah,
just three
Grails.
to five minutes, Somadi?
So Quarkus is there. If I start learning Quarkus, it would take 10 days. If I was learning Quarkus at the very beginning of my career, then it would take around 2 to 3 months, and that is absolutely okay. If it's taking time, then it's taking time for good. Now, at your beginning of your stage, if you tell me that, yeah, I learned React in 3 days, I like, if you tell me that I learned React in 3 to 4 days, I think that's the name of that framework. Okay, PHP framework. So if it's taking time, then it's good. Now, if you learned Express in 15 days and or 30 days, and after this you are learning Deno, that's also a backend framework for the Node.js, Deno, and you are saying that it took me 10 days to learn Deno. That is absolutely okay because you know what is like how to write the microservices. You know what is controller DAO and what is repository, what are the layers. So now it's absolutely okay that you are learning Deno. And same thing go for the next as well. So if you know React, it took around 2 to 3 months to learn React, and after that you are learning next in 15 days. Then it's okay because you invested your time in. So yeah,
So, Amirdeep, can you just wrap up in 2 to 5 minutes? We are running out of time.
yeah, sure. I can wrap up. So if you have any queries, you can directly reach out to me to my LinkedIn, Instagram, and learning about if you are learning about data structure, so I have my playlist over data structure. You can search me. So here are the links for my Insta and for my YouTube channel. So you can.
Also,
So
thank
and
you so much.
I'd like to thank BlueLearn, Vinayak, and it's Vijay. I don't know actually your name. So
It's Vaishnavi.
yeah.
It's
Okay. So what
Vaishnavi.
is your name actually? So I don't know.
Vaishnavi.
Vaishnavi. Okay. So I would like to thank BlueLearn, Vinayak, Vaishnavi to someone's writing something. Oh, you sent it. Okay. To organize this session. So yeah, it was a good session with you all. After a long time, I took a session. So yeah, I think you guys got some fruitful about the open source or anything which may help you in your future.
Yeah, thank you so much,
That's it
Somadi,
from
for
my end.
coming.
Anything
Yeah,
you have?
thank you so much for
Okay,
coming.
we
And
can connect in LinkedIn or we can connect in Insta, Twitter, whatever it is.
I think like Somadi can't hear me. Is it?
Let me send you my Twitter link as well. So don't go for Twitter. I just keep on posting not like unproductive stuff there. So yeah, let me send you my send you all the links. We can connect it over there. And I think like we like if that is possible, we can catch all of you in the Blue Learn in future. So I think it will be there. So yeah, I personally enjoyed this session a lot. Yeah. Yeah, so that's it from my end. Yeah.
Soumyadip, can you hear
Uh,
either Vinayak or Yash?
No.
Hello, am I audible? Hello. Okay, so I think like there is a glitch from Discord or something like that. So Somadip can't hear me. So yeah. So yeah. So
Yeah,
see,
yeah, yeah.
you
Sure. So yeah,
you
that's
all
all from
guys
my end.
can hear me. So see, for tomorrow's event, we will be having it about developer relations. So you can
So
just
Vaishnavi, Vinayak, anyone? Do you have any ending
Actually,
note? Yeah.
yeah, so Vinayak and Yash were speaking, but you cannot hear them. There's a Discord glitch, I guess. So, firstly,
Okay.
thank you, Soumyadip. It was a very informative session. We got to learn a lot about open source, everyone in BlueLearn. And tomorrow we are going to have an event on the Discord stage as well by Aditya Oberoi on the topic of DevRel. And after that, we are going to have an hands-on session on making your pull requests and issues on Git and GitHub. And again, a big thank you to Soumyadip